Yeah, I think third space would have to join. Invite to join.
What's going on, everyone?
What's up?
Welcome to Building the Oasis. I'm stoked for this one tonight. This is going to be a really fun conversation.
Hell yeah.
Excited.
Pumped to be here.
Yeah, man. If you're tuning in, drop where you're tuning in from and what community means to you. Want to keep this chat engaged tonight, and you have any questions for these two legends we've got on the interview today, feel free to pop it into the chat. We're going to give it a couple minutes before we really kick things off. But how are you guys feeling?
Good.
Yeah, I think we were thinking about this probably all of today, and we're just like, can't wait for 6 Central, man. We're going to hop on. We're going to crush it with Remi. We're going to have some good conversation. And yeah, what's better than that, right?
Yeah. Tell people the why behind the mission. Something we actually haven't really shared too much about yet. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I agree, man. Honored to be able to create space for you guys to do so. And even in our prep call, and Freddy, we've obviously chatted a couple of times now. So much wisdom. So whoever's tuning in,
man, you too.
I see you guys have someone from your community rep in Chicago. Welcome, man. Honored to have you a part of this experience.
Also, Henry, he's on the live. He just said, "Who's on the other chat?" I mean, I'm sure they'd love to hear from you too. It's a guy named Remi, but he can do the intro much better than me.
Yeah. I mean, this is on our YouTube channel as well at Join Vurtual. If people want to go tune in there, the chat will be active as well. We've already got people swarming in on the X, YouTube, LinkedIn.
Music. That's my brother. He's a DJ. Goldbanks is his DJ friend. We just met recently. Got Kyle. Got some good people.
Mr. Hefner, one of my closest friends, man. Welcome. I'm excited for everyone tuning in. We're really diving into one of the biggest challenges of our time right now, which is loneliness, and why the future belongs to those who build real community. So really excited. We're going to give it another minute, let people roll through. But thank you, everyone that's tuning in, whether you're coming in from LinkedIn, X, YouTube, Instagram. We appreciate you all so much.
Hey, shout out Ray right there, man. What's up? You got shout out Ray.
Awesome.
What you doing today?
Yeah, we got a bunch of camera actions going on.
Dude, there's like 5 cameras on us right now.
Let's dive into it, gentlemen. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. For everyone joining, my name is Remington Rodney. I'm the founder and CEO of Vurtual. Welcome to Building the Oasis, the space where the next generation of leaders, visionaries, and disruptors come together to shape the future. Vurtual is more than a community. It's a movement equipping those who are ready to lead, connect, and build what's next. And tonight, we're joined by 2 visionaries who are redefining what it means to build community and create real human connection. Brian has always been passionate about building things that help people. After starting his career as a software engineer, he realized that true abundance isn't found in code. It's found in meaningful relationships. That realization led him to leave behind stability and team up with Freddy to create Third Space Social, a movement designed to help people find their people. Having experienced isolation himself, Freddy knows firsthand the power of belonging. His mission is simple but profound: to create spaces where connection thrives. He lives by the belief that to be interesting, you have to be interested. Together, they're disrupting the way we think about community, transforming isolation into belonging, and shaping the future of human connection. Welcome to Building the Oasis, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
That was fire. That was a bomb introduction, man. And yeah, we're excited to be here and just excited to have a cool conversation with a cool person. So
likewise, man. Yeah, it's an honor to have you both on. The energy, the aura that you guys exerted when we first chatted was powerful. And I can tell you guys are truly genuine and passionate about what you're creating. And so to kick things off, you both have very different personalities when it comes to connection. Brian, you're more introverted. Freddy, you're hyper extroverted. How did those differences shape the way you approach building Third Space Social?
Oh, that's good. And it's a that's a good question. I was just going to say the dynamic between hyper extroverted and introverted, I think it actually works. I think there's a really unique compliment in having someone that's, really good at listening and then someone who's able to provide like really unique insights versus I think someone like me who is probably I'm on the cuff, able to kind of just talk about whatever freely. And the both really balance themselves out. I feel like there's a time and place for us to get deeper. There's a time and place for us to listen. There's a time and place for both of us to be talking a lot. But ultimately, I've actually seen Brian's progression a lot. Even though he's introverted, he's really come out of his shell over the past year. And I've seen it with conversations he's having with strangers, conversations that he's having with people in our community, and then conversations he's having with me, right? Like, I feel like watching him grow as a speaker and as a person been some of the most fulfilling things. And, he's like a brother to me. So I think watching that evolution for someone to break out of their shell truly, it's really great to watch.
Wow.
Yeah, appreciate that. But yeah, honestly, it's like, as an introvert, it's always like I'm just naturally just keeping to myself and stuff. But it definitely helps, working with Freddie. Like he's the extrovert, super extroverted, I'd say, like probably the most extroverted person I know. And it kind of just helps, get that more extroverted side out of me. And so I'd say like, since we started this and since I met Freddie, I'm getting more extroverted, by the day. And I kind of like that just because like it's a sign that I'm getting more comfortable with who I am and what I stand for. And yeah, just showing more of my personality to people that I meet and the content that I create, stuff like that. So yeah.
That's awesome. Beautiful reflection too. After you guys have been building this for a year now, it's incredible to hear just how you've grown as people, as individuals. That's like a long journey, I feel, for a lot of people to go from an introvert to an extrovert. And you guys are literally building a brand specifically for people. So that's really cool to hear. And honestly, we'll start with you, Brian. I'd love to hear just your background, your journey to getting to where you're at today.
Yeah. Actually, do you want to start real quick? Because I think if I tell my background, it'll lead right into our origin story and how we started stuff.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about the origin story. I'll rewind the clock back to probably when I was like 11 or 12 making this realization. But for me, I always wanted to break out of the stereotype. That was my childhood, you could argue, North Star quote. I wanted to break out of the stereotype of really, honestly, like, I mean, if you guys can't tell, I'm half Chinese, half Vietnamese. And I think Asian people have a typical tendency to be known as quiet, introverted, good at specific things that I personally wasn't really that great at, in all honesty. And so I wanted to find other means and methods of breaking out of that stereotype. I think that was really important to me. So growing up, I was also introverted at one point, and forced myself to break out of my shell. In middle school, I signed up for this drama class, and I would argue that 8th grade drama class really did start to shape things because, I mean, I was 13 years old. We were doing improv, and I was the only Asian person in the class. And, my teacher was really supportive. And then from there, right, like I started picking up music. I was really into rap. Throughout high school, throughout college, I was acting, I was rapping. And really at that point in time, I really started to break out of my shell. And it wasn't until college when I joined a fraternity, which I didn't had no intention of doing. Honestly, I kind of felt like I was dragged into it initially. But when they voted me as president, I was like, whoa, like you telling me I have the opportunity to lead a bunch of men in a way that I had never done before in my life. And at that point, it was like, not only do I feel like this is something I'm good at in terms of bringing people together and getting people riled up on a mission, but also like I'm confident in what I say. I'm confident in what I think, and I'm, not afraid to express that. And so I feel like that in and of itself was a really transformative experience. So, but that's where kind of the trouble leads in is when I first moved to Chicago, right? I didn't have anybody. And my closest friend, I knew one other person, but he lived around 50 minutes away in one of the suburbs of Chicago. And so I really spent my first year in the city really by myself, which is such a drastic turn from being like, I'm a leader of other people and I feel really confident in myself to now I'm like, I'm alone and there are all these strangers out here. I'm 22 years old and I feel like I'm not capable or equipped anymore. So it was a really sharp, drastic turn, but I remember when I first moved here to Chicago, I started DMing a bunch of people. One person replied, and it wasn't until around 8 months, 9 months later that relationship with that person that I DM'd really developed. And he was the one to start introducing me to people that would be ultimately like my first friends or friend groups in the city. And that's when the spark and connection started to come back. And then from there, I was like, man, I would love to start, bringing people together. And I did a little stint and had a creator community here in Chicago. And then right around that time period, I met Brian, and I was like, there's probably an opportunity to expand this beyond just creators and do something really, really cool and unique. So the rest is kind of history from that.
Yeah. So a little bit about me and my background. So I'm the technical co-founder of Third Space. My background's in software engineering. And, as I said, I grew up pretty introverted and didn't really break out of my shell until college, I'd say. Just really kept to myself and stuff, focused on my studies, get good grades. So in high school, actually, I took a class called AP Computer Science. First year, didn't get it. Had no idea what I was doing, just copying and pasting stuff. And I stuck with it for the next year. And, one random day, everything just clicked. And I was like, holy crap. Like, you can literally build anything with code. And like, since then, I was just like, it was like a dream of mine to build something that actually helps people. I just didn't know what idea, and I didn't really know anybody to build with, right? So I just stuck to the traditional path. So I got good grades, went to college, I grew up in Texas, and I went to school, University of Texas at Austin, studied electrical computer engineering. My degree is pretty much a lie. I realized early on that like hardware wasn't my thing, so I stayed as far away from it as I could. And but I love to code, so I just focused on software engineering. Got internships, Google, Citadel, WP Engine, stuff like that. Ultimately decided to return to Citadel and moved up here to Chicago. So growing up in Texas, moving up here to Chicago, knowing nobody but my roommate, who I interned with previously. And for the first 2 years of just working there, like I didn't spend any time at all, getting to know anybody or meet new people or anything.
Sure.
So, and naturally, as an introvert, I just kept to myself, right? Like, what else is there to do if I don't have friends to hang out with, right? So I just worked all the time. And I realized that, like, these friends aren't just going to walk into my life if I just work all the time, right? And it wasn't until like, the turning point was about 1.5 years into my working career when I realized that, yeah, like life kind of sucks without people that, matter in your life, right? Having nobody I know except for my roommate and a few acquaintances at work and my girlfriend who visits me a couple times a year, like things got kind of lonely, right? So
Sure.
it was just like my life was just work, right? So I realized, I actually need to do something about it. I need to actually put myself out there, try to meet people, and just do things that I normally wouldn't do so that I could meet interesting people. And so there's a whole other story about why I decided to quit my job. But 2 years after joining Citadel, I decided to quit, and I stayed in Chicago and started exploring my passions and stuff and interests, started making YouTube videos, and honestly just doing whatever to try to figure out, what I really want to do. Because I've always wanted to build something, but I still didn't have that idea. So I was
Sure.
really trying to explore and figure that out. But then 8 months after I quit my job, I ran into this dude named Freddy playing pickleball.
Freddy fan.
Yeah, and at first I was like, "Oh, he's a cool guy." Didn't know much about him. Learned that he made some YouTube videos, so I thought that was cool. Like I made YouTube videos too, and we hung out a couple times after that. And because we both make content, we had like a review session together just to help each other out and improve our content. And then about 2 months after we met, 2 to 3 months after we met, he started pitching me the idea, some version of what we have today as Third Space. And since then, it's just been history. both of our lives, since meeting, like literally have changed just because our lives crossed paths. So yeah, that's kind of like how it all started. And we can
like
get
a
into
rope.
like, the whole journey of whatever, but like that's basically how it happened.
It's like a love story, man.
Yeah, dude, I like telling my girlfriend this, like, like, Freddy, chill out, I got a girlfriend, man.
I can relate so deeply to like both what you guys are saying though. When you move to another city and you're kind of you are immersed in your community that you're leaving, you're like the big fish in the small pond from where you're going, and then where you're moving to, it's like no one knows what you do, no one knows who you are, probably don't care, and you have to like embrace that discomfort that comes with it and break out of that shell. And it sounds like for both of you, you had that trigger point of, all right, well, I can't continue going down this path of just spending time with myself and one other person. Let's go build community. Let's go build connection. And so now you guys are a year into Third Space. Let's talk about what Third Space Social is, and I guess the trigger point to creating it.
Yeah, so I kick us off and then give the mic back to Brian about, Third Space Social. Quintessentially, it's a social platform where you'll be able to meet new people that we think you'd really like and find third spaces that you'd really enjoy. The crux of Third Space Social goes back to October of 2023. I had a friend who's a therapist, and we were having a conversation. He was staying at my place at the time, and he flew in from LA, and we had went to college together, and he studied psychology. And he's a therapist, and a lot of his clients are 20-year-old men predominantly. And we were at the beach here in Chicago, and we were actually just talking about loneliness and things like that. And he was like, "There's got to be a fix, right? There's got to be an enabler to this." And it really sparked a lot of ideas, but I had no idea that it would turn into what it is now. There are a few players kind of in this very new industry popping up called IRL social that were using, social networking to get people back meeting in real life. And so that was the beginning of what formulated the idea that I pitched to Brian. And since then, we've obviously gone through a lot of different changes and have gotten Third Space to where it is now. But I can kind of give the mic to him now to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started. And really the goal is to just give people the opportunity to put themselves out there and meet people they otherwise wouldn't meet. And it's all about maximizing their chances of walking away with at least one or two connections by the end of some event that we hold, right? We talked a little bit about like how, it all works, like why we're in person and all that stuff. Like, do you want to kick this?
Yeah. So I think in person is something that needs to be done. I think, like many people know, right? We can spend hours, if not days, weeks, years, just on our phone infinitesimally, right? And so kind of looking at the current landscape of what was going on with social. So social media, super pervasive. Everyone uses it. You can spend hours online. And then you have things that are going on in real life. But what was shocking is that a lot of these things, a lot of these events, what they actually do is just congregate people, put you in one place, and say, go make new friends. And coming out of COVID, you could imagine, and just in general, in life, right? No one talks to strangers, how daunting it is to go somewhere and then now be like, well, now the keys are yours. Go find someone, go spark a relationship, and then go follow up with them. It just doesn't happen like that. It takes so much time and effort and internal willpower to get yourself to talk to somebody, exchange numbers, and then go hang out with them again. All that to say, there's a lot of friction, right? And so you have friction online, you have friction offline.
So
but there's
good.
got to be an easier way.
And like, it doesn't help either that like a lot of these like friendship making apps or whatever, like, Bumble or whatever, they start superficial, right? You're looking at an image and a profile and you're making your judgments based off of that before you even go and try to connect with this person, right? You're swiping on these people and profiles. Versus us where, we actually try to give you the opportunity to put yourself out there in person, meet people for the first time in person. And that way it's just way more genuine. And basically, like, we can get into like how we, craft this whole experience type of stuff. But the basic or the overall idea is just to maximize your chances of being able to connect with people. Because when you go out to these events where, you know, a bunch of people can come to these free events and stuff, but not everyone's looking to make friends, right? And it's really tough when the intentions aren't aligned. Because
Totally.
basically, you know, when you think about it, right, people go to these events in person, probably with already existing friend groups. And now you're just going to go to these events yourself and just try to butt in conversations and introduce yourselves. It's tough. It's possible, but it's tough.
You both have really gotten into like the psychology of relationship building and the challenges of it. And obviously, Freddie and I are both very extroverted humans. So throw us in a room with strangers, we're probably going to thrive. But for most people, that's not the case. And I love that you guys created intentionally with your platform like this matching system based off of interest. And you always hear from some of the like strongest entrepreneurs like customer first, product first. And with what you guys are saying about these companies like Bumble that are obviously very much so for profit rather than their people, you guys from the ground floor are making that an intention. And I really I think that's beautiful. And yeah, I think would love to just dive into like what's the overall mission and vision of Third Space.
I can talk a little bit about some of what we're working on right now and then hand it off to Brian in terms of some bigger picture vision stuff. But at its core, right, like we want to give you the opportunity to meet people that you'd otherwise never meet. We want to be maximizing the odds of helping you find your people in the city that you're in. Right now, here we're locally in Chicago. And so what we do right now is we curate events, short and simple. But what's special about these events is that they're not just come and figure it out. It's all enabled by technology. We have a matchmaking algorithm that's able to help us put people in places in positions to succeed with people we think that they like. And then we spend a lot of time intentionally curating the places that they'll go to. And so I'll give you an example right now. One of the core products that we offer, one of the core experiences we offer is a dinner experience. And so how it works is you'll RSVP after taking a long onboarding survey that allows us to understand who you are. And then from there, we'll go ahead and match you with all the other people that RSVP'd. You'll be placed into a group. And then throughout this whole process, you're getting text messages about what exactly is going to happen, some of the people that you might be meeting, all to kind of build that anticipation up. And then finally, on the day of the event, like we're having an event tomorrow, they'll the morning of, they'll receive the location that they'll go to. And then come 6:30, 7 o'clock, they'll all go. They'll have, I would argue, a more intimate conversation in small groups of 5 to 7. And then afterwards, all the different groups will then converge at a post location for more conversations or potentially an activity. So that's one of the core events that we do. And what's really special is that afterwards, you have the opportunity to tell us who you mutually connected with. And if it's mutual, then we'll go ahead and reconnect you into a friend group or a one-on-one meetup and assign you a place to go. And we'll do it as like a nudge. Hey, go hang out. And I feel like that kind of forms into the thesis that we have is when you come to us, there's an opportunity to meet new people, connect with them, and reconnect with them.
Yes, because like we realize that meeting someone isn't enough to actually make a friendship or a relationship, right? Like you actually have to meet, connect, and reconnect several times before that relationship becomes a part of your life. And so that's why like we feel like we're different is like we try to play on the entire life cycle of this building relationships and stuff. And then also like mentioned a little bit about like the matchmaking and stuff like that. I just want to say like obviously right now, starting out, nothing's 100%, right? You're not going to come to these events and we're not going to guarantee you 100% you're going to walk away with a whole friend group.
Of course.
But
yeah.
what we can tell you is that we're providing you the opportunity and maximizing your chances of walking away with that outcome. And how are we doing that? Basically, it's like, we're thinking about all the different variables, right? Aligned intentions, matchmaking, putting you in this whole experience so that, you get to meet your closest matches and then meet everyone else at the end of the dinner. And basically, it's like you're coming in as strangers from level zero, and walking away with hopefully at least like 50% knowing these people as quick as possible. And we actually see these outcomes, right? Like they're complete strangers at the beginning of the event, but by the end of the night, these people are like hugging, taking pictures, literally looking like they've known each other for months, years even. And they have weekend plans that come out of these events, and it's just crazy to see because we're just so early on in our journey building this thing. It's only been since our first event was in July of
Wow.
2024,
Wow.
and it's only been like 8 months and hosted about 10 events so far, different types of events, but we're already seeing results, and people are already like, finding friends, friend groups even from what we're doing.
Yeah, and I'll add just one last point to that too. Is like Brian and I were actually talking about it yesterday. Like we're literally at version 0.5. We work with a web app that is still kind of in production. You could argue, it's pretty much purely functional, and at the same time, right? Like we're less than a year into the business, and once we continue to ramp up, once we continue to get better, I mean, your results are going to get better. You're going to have more fun. And it's already surprising to see kind of what's come out of, this pretty, I would say, version 0.5.
It's kind of funny actually, because so we launched the platform in October. I started building this thing in September. From July to September, there was no product. It was all manual emails, text message notifications, and just us doing everything manually until now. I started building the platform in September, launched it in October, and ever since then it's been helping us facilitate these events. But every single time we're holding these events, right, like we're running this live startup while I'm building out this platform. Like this platform's unfinished. And I mean, it's kind of funny. It's just like we're getting results from an unfinished product, and it just makes us so like excited about what we can do once this whole thing is done and finished and ready for people to actually use, like a mobile app, because it's just a web app right now.
Wow. Should be extremely proud of the success you guys have already achieved in such a short amount of time. It's unique. The way you guys connected together is unique. What you're providing for other people is powerful. I'm sure, along the way, there's been some challenges, there's been some obstacles. I'd love to dive into some of those and just the mindset of being an entrepreneur, because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And there's good days and there's bad days for all of us. But yeah.
You want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I mean, so we know this whole thing was gonna be hard, right? Like when he pitched me this idea, I was like, man, like, do you realize how hard this is gonna be? Like, it's hard building a startup, but like as first time founders, like we've never built anything else, right? We've only worked in corporate. I'm software engineer, he's working in branding, marketing, and it's just like crazy, like to think that we can build something like this. And what I mean, build something like this. So let me describe it to you, like how I viewed it, what this platform is. Just imagine it's like a social network focused on in-person events.
Mm-hmm.
You got like event ticketing. Then you also got like a whole survey platform to understand the people that are on the platform so that we can matchmake it. We got that matchmaking algorithm, and we have a whole system to facilitate all of these in-person events because, because they're in person, that makes it also very difficult versus something that's purely digital. When it's purely digital, you can scale infinitely, right? You're just paying server costs. But when it's in person, you're actually constrained by physical limits, right? How much can the venue hold? How many people can you get to these events and everything, right?
Right.
So like just think of all that but put into one platform. And when he pitched me the idea, I was like, holy shit, like I don't know if I could do it. I mean, it would be a dream come true to build something like that, but I don't know if I could do it. And you know, slowly by little, he kind of convinced me like this is worth it. And because like I mentioned before, like I've always wanted to build something that could actually help people. And when I met him, I was like, dang, this dude actually matches my drive, ambition, and passion. He has an idea. I love the idea. I'm passionate about the idea. He's passionate about the idea. We're both like in a way we complement each other, right? I'm the technical, he's non-technical, marketing, branding, technical, software engineering, whatever, right? So we kind of fill all the gaps, right? Our personalities are opposites too, kind of. And we kind of just balance each other out. So I was like, this literally is probably the once in a lifetime opportunity that I've been looking for. And it'd be crazy of me to walk away from this. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So we just started doing it. We knew it was going to be hard, but like this entire journey, like we've like spent, I don't know how many hours, but like, you know, it's like countless nights, sleepless nights too, like building this thing, trying to meet deadlines, all that stuff, right? Logistically, this is a hard problem to solve. And just figuring out, you know, are we actually doing something that resonates with people, that people can actually feel like they're getting value out of? It's always a constant question that we're facing, right? So those are some of the challenges. It's like it's super hard to build, for one, and also get users. And number two is it's our first time, like literally. Like we don't know what we're doing a lot of the times. We just have to try and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, everything that Brian said is pretty much true. I think you probably understand as well, Remi, now that you've, you know, took the leap, are full time trying to build a business. I mean, something I realized too is like, I mean, Brian talked a little bit, like we come from a corporate background, right? Like when I was in corporate, one of the things that they always have you do before you do anything is strategize. And in the moment, you're like, wow, like there's a lot of thinking that needs to go into every single decision. Every single decision needs to be mapped out extraordinarily well. You take from a lot of sources, you interview a lot of people, and then you go to the stakeholders. I was a consultant, by the way. So it was a lot of like interviewing, turning all that thinking into a PowerPoint deck, into a recommendation, sharing it with some C-suite executive who signs off and then may or may not implement it. Sure. And shout out to my former coworkers and my former bosses. But when you work at a startup, you realize that there is no strategy a lot of times. And you just need to do things. And thinking is maybe 20 to 30% of the job, or maybe even less. And doing is more. And I would argue for a lot of like new founders, and this is advice I need to keep telling myself, is like one of the best skills you can have, quite literally, is just be a doer. Be someone that does things. Be someone who's resourceful. If you don't know how to do it, can you look it up or go find someone else that in your circle that knows how to do it and have them help you? And I just feel like those two things have really helped me sometimes when I feel all of this imposter syndrome, all of this, you know, if you go on tech Twitter, people are popping off, getting millions of dollars in ARR, and you're like, well,
it's wild.
and they'll try to put it in like, and we did it in 2 months. And I'm like, okay. You know, like through all of that, it's like, I just got to keep reminding myself, Brian's got to keep reminding ourselves, you got to keep reminding yourself, like, yeah, man, I can do things and I can be resourceful. And if I do what I need to do, if you put in the inputs, the output should come.
Hopefully.
I think it's inevitable, man. And Freddy, you've made content around this all the time of determination. That is probably one of the greatest skills in your toolbox on this journey. It's not maybe, it's inevitable. It's when it's going to happen, and just keep staying the course, you know. And I'm quite a few months behind you guys, but just having that hardened mindset, I'm sure you guys cultivated that years before you got to where you're at now, right? It's not like you were just now training your mind to break through mental barriers and challenges. It's something you've been building towards for years now, which is incredible. And I wanted to quickly give a shout out to the chat. You guys have been super active tonight. If you have any questions for these amazing founders on building community, how to connect with the right people, how to find your tribe, this is the place to do it. Really, really inspired by what these guys are doing. I'd love to ask, like, what type of, like, I guess, tools, what are you guys doing on a day-to-day basis to break through these mental barriers? Because it's not just related to being a founder and a creator. It's all of us are going through that. It's because it's what makes us human.
Yeah, I mean, you could go ahead.
Yeah, I think the three main things that are so pertinent in my life that I feel like continue to hold me up, even when I think the doubts start creeping in or things in my mind are kind of swirling and they're racing. The first one, it's the most quintessential, I think, and something that both of us have been trying to do more of. It's journaling, and I feel like that is the easiest way to put your thoughts that are moving really quickly in your head in a swirl on a piece of paper, get them organized, and start to understand why you feel a certain type of way.
Wow.
I think if you don't journal, it might low key be impossible to be truly self aware of your inner self, your subconscious. So I think journaling has been huge. The second one is I think I'm very fortunate in the fact that they're not here in the video, but I live with two guys that are also on a similar mission, and not in the sense that they're building a startup necessarily or anything like that, but they're both trying to carve out lives for themselves, and they both have their own businesses that they are all in full time on. And I feel like being in a house full of two other people that I can turn to for like, hey, can you look at this sales copy for me real quick? Or if we're having a down day, we can just kind of talk about it. And then also when we're championing, I can just literally turn to a door 1 second away from mine and be like, yo, like, let's go take a walk and chop up about life. I feel like that has been also really valuable for me. And then I think the last one, and this is a lot more practical, is I love caffeine. And there's nothing like
That's real.
a caffeinated beverage to get you going.
Bro. I tell him all the time, man, caffeine is going to kill you, man. The amount of caffeine this dude drinks. But yeah, for me, like everything he said also, like I agree with, like that's also how I manage this stuff and just make sure that I'm managing my own expectations and being okay with like, failures and all that stuff while we're going through this whole journey. Journaling and, having the support system, girlfriend, him, co-founder, like without him, like literally, like would I be doing this? Hell no. And if it were just by myself, like even if I was building something else, right? Like if I had to do something like this alone, that would be so hard to do. It's just way harder to do by yourself because you're only one person and you're just going to keep, second guessing yourself. But when you got somebody else to, sometimes like he's doubting himself, I'll check him. Sometimes I'm doubting myself and he'll check me, right? Like it just works out, right? As a duo.
Yeah, the fourth one on my list is definitely this guy. I didn't say it before, but that should have been obvious.
Yeah, like it. Yeah, honestly, like those are the main things and reasons why, like the how and how we manage going through this entire journey and all the stress and all that stuff. Yeah, honestly, I highly recommend people journal. Like I started journaling this year and it helps a lot for sure. And as somebody who would think of himself as a logical thinker and introvert, like I'm always keeping to myself anyways, like journaling still helps a lot. Even though I run through a lot of things in my head, journaling, writing it down on paper or a Notion doc, it's a game changer.
Hell yeah.
It actually is insane, our minds, like just being able to be observant of just how fast it moves and just the array of different types of thoughts that our mind creates in a day. It's impossible to keep up with if you're not doing things like journaling, if you're not connecting with community, if you're not slowing down, if you're always doing, you're going to burn yourself out on this journey, like 100%. You have to balance doing and being. And I love that you both are adopting that. We got my boy Jenner Kane in the chat. He said journaling into ChatGPT. I don't know if you guys are doing that, but
You're
that's
like, analyze me.
yeah, like I mean, it's a real tool, man. Yeah, I guess that strays into a good point. Like, are you guys leveraging different technologies to stay organized or just to progress what you're building right now?
Oh yeah, I'm vibe coding all day. So
That's a new term I've been hearing.
yeah, I know, man. Like I just been hearing people use it. I don't even know if I'm using it right, but yeah, just we're using Cursor, Claude, coding. Like it's amazing how far it's come. Like to just be able to tell, this LLM what I want to do and have it spit out something that's 90% of the way there, but I just have to tweak it or tell it a little bit more stuff and just edit some things if they're wrong. Like I would not be able to do what I'm doing today, like building this startup, this platform by myself as a technical solo dev, if it weren't for, the help of AI, Cursor, and stuff. So it just would take way too long and I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. So
Yeah, even for me, right? Like non-technical, I just feel like I'm using an LLM all the time. I love Claude for writing, ChatGPT for general questions, and if I really want to get deep into something, I've been using DeepSeek a lot. It's like the only one that's free that has like a reasoning model that you can tap into. So I think that's amazing. But I wanted to flip the script for a second and say, wow, I think technology, so many net positives. It's amazing. And I mean, we use it every single day, everybody, right? Like kind of what Third Space Social is supposed to really be an opportunity for you to get off the technology for a second. Like we do facilitate through an app, but really the goal is that's like secondary. And what we're doing is putting you in positions to get off the phone in front of other people and, practice and use your social skills and be, I think, at the core of ourselves, which is be human. So I think it's just an opportunity to kind of rewind a little bit and get us back socializing in a state that was much more common in the past, but is not normalized at all anymore. So yeah, it's kind of a counterbalance. We use technology, we love it, but also we realize that we kind of need to also get off of it sometimes.
yeah. And to add to that is like, you imagine all these other social media platforms and stuff. They literally designed the algorithm to keep you on the platform
Yeah.
and doom scroll, right? Like it's ridiculous. Like it's addicting. Like even I admit, right? Like I'm pretty good at staying off of social media, but sometimes like if I go on there, I get trapped.
GG.
GG. Yeah. Like these algorithms are crazy. And if you think about what we're doing, right? We're building an algorithm to do the opposite, to keep you off the phone, to keep you in person, in real life, help you get in front of people, and hopefully help you find your people. And so I'd say like, why use the algorithm or why use technology to profit off of people, to, prey on people's attention when you can use technology to do something good and actually impact people's lives, change their lives even. Like literally one connection can literally change your life. Like look at us, right? We're literally an example. And so that's what we're trying to enable for other people as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate just the authenticity between the two of you and the intentionality. I've been using this concept of the new human quite a bit. I feel like you guys are great representations of what that means. The structures that we've had in place are changing drastically, and technology has been a main component for why people are losing their sense of self, why people are disconnected, whereas you guys are creating that connection. And I just think that's beautiful. And like the fact that you guys are only 8 months into this just gets me so fired up to see where things are going to be in the next 6 months, the next year, the next 5 years, right? Like you guys should be super proud of what you're pioneering because you're guiding people into the light. At the end of the day, like finding their tribe, finding their community, there's nothing better than that. What's next on horizon for Third Space Social?
I think upcoming is, the most pressing. I feel like what's been really cool building a business is there's so many different things that you can do. And I love being able to tinker around with we should take the business in this direction or that direction. But ultimately, like first and foremost, like we're here in Chicago, like we want to be able to give this opportunity to more people. And so that's going to require, continuing to get our name out there, continuing to onboard users, continuing to do as best of experiences as we can provide, and hopefully generating the results that people are looking for, which at the end of the day, in my opinion, is a fun time and new connections for them to take away from each event. So scaling up here in Chicago is the biggest priority, and you never know where we could go after that.
Columbus, Ohio.
Eventually.
Damn near needed out here, man.
Freddy didn't mention this really, but like we don't have unlimited money. We're bootstrapping this thing at the moment. We're open to funding. If you're an investor, hey, hit us up. But like, right now we're trying to figure out the business model, trying to make it sustainable. And Freddy's got till the end of the year before he's got to go back to corporate, and we got to make something happen. And so that's like the biggest challenge is building a sustainable business model while scaling up and getting enough people through the door. Because it's tough, right? Like if we're making these events not free, right? That helps us with making a sustainable business. But if you make it not free, some people aren't down to come, right? And so it's a balance of, making free events, but also making a sustainable business. And so that's like, I'd say like the biggest challenge and the biggest next step is, can we scale up and can we make this a sustainable business here in Chicago? And we're still doing things that don't scale. Like there are things that we need to eventually evolve or get rid of so that we can scale to other cities as well. And that's a whole nother challenge that we have to figure out. But that's on the roadmap, right? Like the idea is to scale up in Chicago as a proof of concept, build out the web app platform, and then eventually launch the mobile app once most of the features are there and the platform is ready, and build a sustainable business model and grow the user base at the same time. It's just a lot, honestly.
And I just add one more point on top of that is like there is a very, very, very big difference between a free event and one that is not free. Free, as long as the people know about it and your event is of somewhat interest, like people will go. But when you want to turn events into a business and you need to charge, that's when I feel like you really start to figure out is what the events that I'm hosting, the events that I'm curating, are these of actual value to people? And are they going to be of consistent value to people over and over and over again? And at the core, I really think like this is not exactly a direct relationship with what I was just saying, but like we live it. We know what it's like to have been isolated. We know what it's like now to both of us have like our communities in our own shared circles. And then we have separate communities and like have really blossomed our social life here. And I think because of the fact that we do it, we live it, like it all enhances our ability and like confidence that we know what we're doing to some degree, and we'll continue to fix things that need to be fixed. And if we do those things and continue to embody that we do it, we live it, yeah, we can go somewhere.
Yeah, I guess as we're coming to a close too, if you're in the audience, chat, what's your biggest takeaway from today's convo? Would love to hear from you guys. Brian and Freddy have been dropping a ton of wisdom and knowledge centered around building powerful communities. I would say too, like, why would someone want to come to one of your guys' events? What is the value proposition?
You want to kick it off?
Yeah. So I think at its core, right, like each event, going back to the same sayings that we continue to use, but we really, really believe this. Two things. You're going to have an opportunity to meet people you'd otherwise never meet. And one of the peoples or multiple of the peoples that you meet could ultimately change your life. And because we are doing our best to maximize the odds of you finding someone, by you coming, that's automatically, rather than staying at home, like think of your typical regular routine. How many new people are you meeting? And definitely, how many new people are you meeting that could potentially change your life? And I would argue for most people, the answer is 0. And so, like most friendships, just stay in the place of work or in your everyday routine, maybe at the gym or something like that. With this, you get exposure to a much larger group of people And because of how we do things, they're at like similar places in life and of similar age. And I feel like that in and of itself will narrow down the pool of people to someone that you might actually really get along with. And we've seen it before with our own members, our customers being like, wow, I've met my best friend group through this, or there's a person that I continually see all the time. And when you hear about those kind of testimonials and those stories, it's like, how could you not want to try coming? That, and it's just, I think, fun, right? Like we do our best to really make sure, like, yeah, the things that we're doing, the places that you get to go, the drinks that you get to have, the food that you get to eat, like all of that stuff is as on point as it can get. So we have all of those things that we're considering. And yeah, I really do think you have that much intentionality going into each event. Like you'd be surprised at what comes out of one.
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty much what I was gonna say. So spot on.
I would hope I know my product by now.
Yeah.
I love what my girl was in the chat here. She said, you're one conversation away from changing your life, truly. And you guys are giving people more and more reps to create that opportunity, which is super dope. Just really grateful for the conversation. Grateful for you guys coming on, sharing more about your background, your story. Got one last question, and that's just what advice would you give to the audience?
You want to drop some knowledge?
Honestly, I would just say like, well, for me, right, like I'm trying to build a life that I truly enjoy. And I'm really trying to figure out like what aligns with my values and what is that life that I want. And that means meaningful work. That means meaningful relationships. You know, waking up every day wanting to do what I do, wanting to live life and do everything that I want to do. That has been like my guiding, I guess, North Star in this whole journey. And I feel like I want more people to realize that life is really what you make it. And if you want a certain life and if you want to do something, like you can do it. You can literally go do it. It's going to take time to get to that point, but it's possible. You just have to believe in yourself and keep doing it. And I feel like I've stuck to that. And I'd say today, I'm honestly living my dream life. Like I'm building something I'm really passionate about. I'm building something I'm really passionate about, and I'm building it with somebody that, you know, is someone I really work well with and look up to, and can
that's real.
and really just like, you know, work with people that I really enjoy working with, and also be around people that I really enjoy, family, girlfriend, friends, people on similar journeys, similar missions, all that, right? All that together, I would say is like, so far, I feel like my life right now, I feel like I'm living the dream, but I feel like we're just getting started as well. And so I hope more people realize that they can do that, and I want them to.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, like working together with Brian, like, I mean, I feel like we don't do this enough, even though we probably do it to some degree, but it's always, you know, Brian is one of the most inspirational dudes I've ever met as well. I just feel like he has a natural charisma to him, and people love Brian once they meet him. And I admire so much like what he's able to have, you know, done with his personal life, but then also, you know, in basically trusting me with, you know, the mission that we're on, you know, because I mean, yeah, you go to someone and you pitch them an idea that requires a level of commitment, a lot of commitment, to be honest. It's like, yeah, they're kind of just holding your hand and taking a jump with you. And he's done that. And I feel like that in and of itself, like, has given me a lot of respect for him, but also like really has given me a new friend and a new brother. So I think that's first and foremost. And I'll make like my advice super simple is like, when it comes to for me, entrepreneurship, I knew I didn't want to do this alone. I didn't want to do this by myself. It's honestly too much to do it by myself. But you need people that you not only can work well with, but that you genuinely admire, trust, and care about. And I feel like I've had the opportunity to do just that. So work with people that you genuinely respect and care for.
Wow. This is powerful. This was very powerful. Seriously, thank you guys. And where can we find you on socials?
First, the business. You can at third space social, 3RD space social. And then for me, because you know we breathe the IRL, you can find me at IRL Freddy Fang.
Love it. Love it.
And you can find me at Just Be Chung on all platforms, literally all platforms.
Amazing, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Please continue to follow these guys' journey. It's incredible what they've done already in just 8 months. And like I said, I can't wait to see where they go over the next coming years. These guys are absolute gems and amazing entrepreneurs and amazing people at their core. And that's what we need more of in this world. So thank you both. If you tuned in tonight, please like, subscribe, comment. It means the world to us. We're going to continue these amazing conversations with dope people disrupting the world. And next Monday, we got our next DJ live stream. So tune in for that. You don't want to miss it.
What's
Cheers.
your DJ name?
Virtual. It's all virtual. Baby.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for having us, man. This was dope.
Yeah.
Tune into the Virtual podcast.
Much love, guys.